Chanuka Gelt. Chanuka is the time that they say about Purim, all eyes of the Aniyim are waiting for Kriyas Megillah. All eyes of the children are waiting for Chanuka to be able to get the Chanuka Gelt, to be able to get the Chanuka presents. But what about us? Also for us, we should be able to be Zoiche to get Chanuka Gelt. And the tzaddikim speak about, each one in their own way, how Chanuka is a time in which we can be Zoiche to Ashiris. We can be Zoiche to the Gelt. The question is, how? So one of the tzaddikim that speak about it is the Chidush Arim, that's brought down by one of his grandsons, the 𝗟𝗚𝗦𝗦𝗧, where he says about Chanuka Gelt, quoting the pasuk in Mishlei, Arech Yamim B'Yamina 𝗬𝗟𝗦 𝗟𝗏𝗦, that we see that those mitzvahs that are done bismol, the mitzvahs that which are done on the left side, maybe ashiras, can bring ashiras. And it's referencing the menorah because, as we know, with different minhagim and how we light, but there's those that light on the left side of the doorway. Now, the 𝗟𝗚𝗦𝗧 points out a very, very important yesod, and based off of this, we're going to be understanding different layers of this throughout Chanukah, where he says that really the truth is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu always wants to give us shefa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu always wants to give us goodness. Hashem wants to be able to give us wealth. But what's the reason why we're not able to receive it? The reason why we're not able to receive it is because Hashem loves us. What does that mean? If He loves us, He'll give me a lot of money. What it means is that Hashem understands, right, that money and wealth is only a bracha, is only a blessing if we have the kelim, if you have the capacity to be able to use it in a way which is going to help us for our Avodas Hashem. And if a person doesn't, so then because Hashem loves us, He doesn't give it to us. And therefore the 𝗟𝗚𝗦𝗧 says that during this time of Chanukah, what does it mean that Chanukah is the ability to be able to bring us ashiras? It's not that we should be davening for wealth, he says. In fact, if we're davening for wealth, so that could be a reason why we're not going to get wealth. But rather, what we need to be doing on Chanukah, he says we should be daven, that we should be zoiche through the mitzvah of Chanukah, 𝗟𝗏𝗕𝗏, that it should enlighten and it should awaken, it should inspire all kol bechinas 𝗦𝗨 shalom. Every aspect of left in one's life. And the aspect of left in one's life is 𝗟𝗏𝗕𝗏. And what the 𝗟𝗚𝗦𝗧 is telling us is that Chanukah is a time that through the mitzvah of Chanukah, that we should upgrade, each one of us in our own way, our relationship with money, our relationship with work, our relationship with Gashmias, our understanding of it. And through the mitzvah of Chanukah that we do that enables us to have the capacity and to be the kelim to receive that shefa and abundance. And what we're going to be doing in this series each night is going to be giving an 𝗟𝗧 and explaining an aspect of how each one of us are able to do this. Now we'll start off with the first night. They say, is Chanukah an easy mitzvah? Is it a difficult mitzvah? It seems so easy. So many people do it. How hard is it to strike a match, light a flame? I still remember those days that, the tzaddikim speak about all the hachonas that were done for mitzvahs Chanukah, all the nigunim, all of the tefilas. And I still remember those days in my marriage when I had the ability to say all of those tefilas and do all of those hachonas. I still remember that moment. I was standing there at the menorah and trying to say my tefillah b'kavanah, but there were some other opinions going on. Baruch Hashem, I was zeicha to children. And I was trying to figure out how this works with all the hachonas and all the tevekus. And I recognized and I heard other people say as well, if I could get out of bracha, I could get out of bracha b'kavana when I light my menorah, Baruch Hashem, that's amazing. It's amazing. But if there's one pasuk that we can say, if there's one hachana that you can do, especially on the first night of Chanukah, it should be to say this beautiful pasuk that we're familiar with from Tehillim, Vayinoyam Hashem Elokeinu Aleinu Masei Yadeinu Kanana Aleinu Masei Yadeinu Kananeu. That may it be your will that the sweetness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu should dwell upon our hands, the work of that which we're doing. But it's a pasuk which is said before different mitzvahs, and it's particularly a pasuk which is relevant for the first night of Chanukah. Why? Because as we're taught, right, that on Chafei Kislev was the day in which the completion of the Mishkan took place. And on that day, Moshe Rabbeinu, as Rashi brings down, right, in Chumash, Moshe Rabbeinu saw all that Bnei Yisrael had done when they made the Mishkan. And he said this pasuk, Moshe Rabbeinu said this pasuk, Vayinoyam Hashem, may it be your will, Hashem, that you dwell upon the work that we have just done with our hands, that we've just built a Mishkan. And this is so important because as each one of us, as we start Chanuka, are lighting a menorah from the base of Mikdash inside of our house, what we're doing is we're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, may it be that you HaKadosh Baruch Hu are going to dwell in our physical place. And this is a message of Chanuka, and this is a message for each one of us to reassess our connection with Gashmias, because this pasuk Vayinam is the first thing we say when Chevra, on Motzei Shabbos, when we end Shabbos and we go into the week. We say this pasuk Vayinoyam, and one understanding of this is that as we start our week, we want to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're going to be involved in work, we're going to be involved in Gashmias, but we recognize and we state that you should know Hashem when we're involved in Gashmias, it's about Ruchnias. We want you, Hashem, to dwell in our homes, to dwell in our Gashmias, to dwell in our work. Something to keep in mind, Chevra, on the first night of Chanuka, as we light our menorah, it should open up our consciousness of understanding our relationship, right, with all of the Gashmias that we have. We should all be 𝗧𝗛𝗓𝗦𝗓.